You've been told that losing your leg strength is just part of getting older, that it's inevitable, that there's nothing you can do about it. But what if that's completely wrong? What if the real reason your legs are getting weaker has nothing to do with age and everything to do with what's missing from your plate? There are people in their 80s and 90s who walk without a cane, climb stairs without holding the rail, and wake up every morning with strong, steady legs. And it's not luck. It's not genetics. It's what they eat every single day. Stay with me until the end because the number one food on this list is so powerful that a study published in the Journal of Applied Physiology found it can increase lower body muscle strength by up to 47% in adults over 65. 47%, and yet almost nobody over 60 eats enough of it. By the time I'm done today, you'll know exactly what it is, exactly how to use it, and exactly why your doctor has probably never mentioned it to you. I'm Dr. Mandell, a physician specialized in senior health with over 15 years of dedicated clinical experience. I've worked with thousands of men and women over 60 who came to me convinced their legs were simply giving out because of age. What I found time and time again was something entirely different, a pattern, a nutritional gap that nobody had addressed. And once we addressed it, legs that hadn't worked properly in years started coming back to life. What I'm about to share goes against the conventional advice you've been given, but I've seen it with my own eyes, patient after patient, and I refuse to stay silent any longer. If this information seems valuable to you, hit that like button right now and let's get into it. Here is what's actually happening inside your body after 60. Your muscles are not just sitting there passively. They are in a constant state of breakdown and rebuilding. Scientists call this protein turnover. When you're young, your body is extremely efficient at rebuilding what it breaks down. But after 60, something shifts. Your body becomes what researchers call anabolically resistant. That means even when the raw materials are available, your muscles don't respond as quickly or as efficiently to rebuild themselves. At the same time, after 60, your body produces significantly less of a hormone called IGF-1, which is insulin-like growth factor. This hormone acts as a signal to your muscles, telling them to grow and repair. When IGF-1 drops, that signal gets weaker. Your muscles hear a whisper when they need a shout. Then there's the issue of inflammation. Chronic low-grade inflammation, which researchers now call inflammaging, is one of the most destructive forces in an aging body. It silently eats away at muscle tissue. It interferes with nerve signals to your legs. It impairs circulation to the muscles that need blood and oxygen the most. And here's what terrifies me most. By the time you actually feel weakness in your legs, you've already lost a significant percentage of your functional muscle mass. Studies suggest that adults can lose up to 8% of their muscle mass per decade after 40, and that rate accelerates after 60. But here's the critical part. This is not irreversible. The research is absolutely clear on this. Muscle can be rebuilt at any age. Strength can be recovered at any age. The body wants to heal. It just needs the right raw materials. Today, I'm going to give you a countdown of the 9 most powerful foods you can eat every single day to keep your legs strong, stable, and functional well into your 80s and 90s. We're going from least powerful to most powerful. And I promise you, by the time we reach number 1, you are going to look at your grocery list completely differently. Before we continue, I'm curious, how old are you right now? In your 60s, 70s, maybe beyond? And do you already eat any of the foods on this list? Type your age in the comments below. Let's see who's watching today. Number 9, beets. Beets might seem like a humble vegetable, something you see in a salad and push to the side. But for your leg muscles specifically, beets are working on a level that very few foods can match. Here's why. Beets are one of the richest natural sources of dietary nitrates you can find. When you eat beets, your body converts those nitrates into nitric oxide. And nitric oxide is essentially a natural vasodilator. It relaxes the walls of your blood vessels and allows them to open wider. Why does that matter for your legs? Because your leg muscles are the farthest from your heart. They are at the end of the pipeline. When circulation is compromised, your legs are always the first to suffer. Poor circulation to the legs means less oxygen delivered to the muscle fibers. Less oxygen means less energy for muscle contraction. Less energy means weaker legs. A study published in the Journal of Applied Physiology found that dietary nitrate supplementation from beet juice improved muscle efficiency in older adults by 24%. 24% more efficient muscle function just from improving blood flow. The nitric oxide boost from beets also reduces the oxygen cost of exercise, which means your legs can do more work before they fatigue. For someone over 60 who wants to stay active, that's enormous. How to use it? Aim for half a cup of cooked beets 3 to 4 times per week, or if you prefer, 4 to 6 ounces of pure beet juice daily. Avoid beet juice that has added sugar. Raw beets can also be grated into salads. The key is consistency, not quantity. A little regularly is far more powerful than a lot occasionally. Pro tip, combine beets with a small amount of healthy fat like olive oil or avocado. Beets contain fat-soluble compounds that are better absorbed in the presence of fat. A simple drizzle of olive oil over roasted beets dramatically increases what your body can actually use. But that's just number 9. Let's keep moving. Number 6, Greek yogurt. Greek yogurt is one of the most underestimated foods for leg strength in adults over 60, and the reason comes down to 2 things working together: protein and gut health. First, the protein. A single cup of full-fat Greek yogurt contains between 15 and 20 grams of complete protein. For context, that's nearly as much as 3 oz of chicken breast. And the protein in Greek yogurt is particularly rich in casein, a slow-digesting protein that provides a sustained release of amino acids to your muscles over several hours. While you sleep, your muscles are doing their most important repair work. Eating Greek yogurt in the evening gives your muscles a steady supply of raw materials through the night. But here's what most people don't know about Greek yogurt and legs specifically. Greek yogurt contains live probiotic cultures, beneficial bacteria that improve the health of your gut. And your gut health has a direct, measurable impact on your muscle health. Researchers at the Journal of Cachexia, Sarcopenia, and Muscle found that the composition of your gut microbiome influences how efficiently your body absorbs protein from food. Adults with a healthier gut microbiome extracted significantly more amino acids from the same amount of protein compared to those with a compromised gut. In other words, Greek yogurt doesn't just provide protein, it helps your body use all the other protein you eat more effectively. How to use it? 1 cup of full-fat or 2% Greek yogurt daily. Not flavored, not low-fat, not fat-free. Full-fat Greek yogurt provides better satiety and better absorption of fat-soluble nutrients. If the plain taste is too sharp, add a small handful of berries or a drizzle of honey. Avoid yogurts with added sugar as the first or second ingredient. Pro tip, eat Greek yogurt approximately 1 hour before bed. This timing takes advantage of the casein protein's slow-release properties during your overnight muscle repair cycle. This is one of the simplest and most effective timing strategies in senior nutrition, but that's not all. Let's go to number 5. Number 5, spinach. Here's something that might surprise you. One of the most powerful foods for leg muscle strength is not a protein at all. It's a leafy green vegetable, and the science behind it is remarkable. Spinach contains a compound called ecdysterone. For years, this compound was studied primarily in insects, which is how it got its name. But in recent years, researchers turned their attention to its effects in humans, and the results were striking. A study published in the Archives of Toxicology found that ecdysterone from spinach increased muscle fiber size and improved strength output in human subjects significantly more than many pharmaceutical compounds designed for the same purpose. The researchers were so surprised by the results that they called for further investigation into whether ecdysterone should be classified as a performance-enhancing substance. But that's not all spinach offers your legs. Spinach is extraordinarily rich in magnesium, a mineral that is essential for muscle contraction and relaxation. Every time your leg muscle contracts, magnesium is required to facilitate that process. When magnesium is deficient, muscles are more prone to cramping, weakness, and premature fatigue. Studies suggest that up to 68% of American adults are magnesium deficient. Among adults over 60, that number is even higher. Spinach also contains significant amounts of potassium, which regulates the electrical activity in muscle cells, and iron, which is essential for oxygen transport to working muscles. How to use it. 2 large handfuls of fresh spinach daily. You can eat it raw in a salad, saute it with garlic and olive oil, blend it into a smoothie where the taste essentially disappears, or add it to scrambled eggs. Cooking spinach reduces its volume dramatically, making it easier to eat larger quantities. Both raw and cooked spinach offer significant benefits, though cooking increases the bioavailability of some compounds. Pro tip: combine spinach with a source of vitamin C like lemon juice or tomatoes. Spinach contains non-heme iron, which is less easily absorbed than the iron in meat. Vitamin C dramatically increases non-heme iron absorption, sometimes by up to 300%. If you're finding this information helpful, please hit like and subscribe so you won't miss the practical tips we share every week for adults over 60, and share this video with someone you care about. A simple click could genuinely change someone's quality of life. Now let's move into the top 4. This is where things get really powerful. Number 4, sweet potatoes. If you have weak legs or legs that tire quickly or legs that feel unstable and unreliable, sweet potatoes may be one of the most important foods you can add to your daily routine. And the reason is not just about nutrition, it's about energy. Your leg muscles are composed primarily of 2 types of muscle fibers: fast twitch fibers for explosive movement and slow twitch fibers for sustained endurance and stability. The slow twitch fibers that keep you stable when you walk, that prevent you from stumbling, that allow you to stand up from a chair without pushing off, those fibers run primarily on glycogen, which is stored glucose. Without adequate, consistent energy supply to those fibers, they weaken regardless of how much protein you eat. Sweet potatoes provide a uniquely ideal source of complex carbohydrates that digest slowly and steadily, maintaining a consistent glucose supply to your muscle fibers without the blood sugar spikes and crashes associated with simple carbohydrates. A study published in the Journal of Sports Science found that complex carbohydrate consumption from whole food sources was directly associated with better maintenance of lower body muscle endurance in adults over 60. But sweet potatoes also contain something extraordinary for legs specifically. They are one of the richest food sources of beta-carotene, which converts to vitamin A in the body. Vitamin A is essential for the maintenance of the nerve pathways that carry motor signals from your brain to your legs. Without these nerve signals functioning optimally, even strong muscles cannot contract at full efficiency. Additionally, sweet potatoes contain significant amounts of potassium, vitamin B6, and manganese, all of which contribute to optimal muscle function and energy metabolism. How to use it. Half to 1 medium sweet potato 4 to 5 times per week, baked, boiled, steamed, or mashed without excessive butter or sugar additions. The skin contains significant additional fiber and nutrients, so eating the skin when possible is recommended. Pro tip: eat sweet potatoes with a small amount of fat to maximize beta-carotene absorption. A small amount of butter or olive oil on a baked sweet potato actually makes the nutritional content significantly more available to your body. I remember William, a 79-year-old retired engineer from Minneapolis. He had come to me because his family was pressuring him to consider moving to an assisted living facility. His legs had become so unreliable that he had fallen twice in a single month. He was terrified of his own home. When I looked at his diet, I found something I see constantly in patients his age. He was eating almost no carbohydrates because he had been told carbs were bad. His muscles were essentially running on empty. His body had nothing to fuel the slow twitch stabilizing fibers his balance depended on. I told him to add half a baked sweet potato to his dinner every night, nothing else at first. 5 weeks later, his daughter called me. She was almost crying on the phone. "Doctor, he's walking around the house without holding the walls. He told me he hasn't felt this stable in 2 years. What did you do?" I told her he hadn't fallen since the 2nd week. "I just told him to eat a sweet potato," I said. Small changes, profound results. This brings us to number 3. And this is where the science becomes truly remarkable. Number 3, walnuts. Snorts. Walnuts look like a small, insignificant snack, but what they contain and what those compounds do specifically to the aging muscle system is extraordinary. Walnuts are the richest plant source of alpha-linolenic acid, a type of omega-3 fatty acid. But unlike the omega-3s in fish, which directly become EPA and DHA, the omega-3s in walnuts work through a different pathway that specifically targets something called satellite cells. Satellite cells are the stem cells of your muscles. They are the cells responsible for repairing damaged muscle fibers and creating new muscle tissue. After 60, the activity of satellite cells decreases significantly. They become slower and less responsive. This is one of the primary drivers of age-related muscle loss. Research published in the Journal of Nutritional Biochemistry found that the compounds in walnuts, particularly the combination of omega-3 fatty acids and ellagic acid, significantly improve satellite cell activation in aging muscle tissue. In plain language, walnuts help wake up the repair cells in your muscles that have gone dormant with age. But there's more. Walnuts contain melatonin, which when consumed in food form acts as a powerful antioxidant in muscle tissue, reducing the oxidative damage that accumulates in aging muscles. They also contain polyphenols that have been shown to reduce the inflammatory compounds that specifically target and destroy muscle fibers. A landmark study from the New England Journal of Medicine found that adults who consumed a handful of walnuts daily had a significantly lower rate of physical function decline over a 4-year follow-up period compared to those who did not. How to use it? A small handful of walnuts daily, approximately 1 oz, or about 14 walnut halves, raw or dry roasted, not salted or candied. The timing is flexible, but many people find that eating walnuts as a mid-afternoon snack helps bridge the gap between lunch and dinner and maintains a consistent supply of muscle-supporting compounds throughout the day. Pro tip: store walnuts in the refrigerator or freezer. The omega-3 fatty acids in walnuts are highly sensitive to heat and light and can oxidize quickly at room temperature. Oxidized omega-3s do not just lose their benefit, they can actually create harmful inflammatory compounds. Cold storage preserves the integrity of every beneficial compound. Now, before I reveal number 2 and the extraordinary number 1 food on this list, I want to hear from you. Have you been struggling with leg weakness and wondering if your diet had anything to do with it? Type yes in the comments if you believe food can genuinely change your leg strength. Type no if you're still skeptical. Your answer helps other viewers know they're not alone in this. Number 2, wild-caught salmon. Wild-caught salmon is not just a good source of protein, it is one of the most comprehensively powerful foods for every single system that governs leg strength in an aging body. Let me explain why. First, the protein. A single 4 oz serving of wild salmon provides approximately 25 g of complete, highly bioavailable protein. For muscle synthesis after 60, where anabolic resistance makes every gram of protein less efficient, the quality and bioavailability of protein sources becomes critically important. Salmon protein has been shown in clinical research to stimulate muscle protein synthesis more effectively than plant protein sources, even when total protein intake is matched. Second, the omega-3s. Salmon is the richest dietary source of EPA and DHA, the 2 most active forms of omega-3 fatty acids. These compounds directly suppress the inflammatory pathways that destroy muscle tissue with age. A study published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that adults over 60 who consumed omega-3 rich fatty fish 3 times per week showed a 35% reduction in inflammatory markers associated with muscle wasting. Third, and this is what separates salmon from almost every other protein source, wild-caught salmon is extraordinarily rich in astaxanthin. Astaxanthin is a carotenoid antioxidant that gives salmon its distinctive pink color. It is, by a significant margin, one of the most powerful antioxidants found in any food. Research published in Frontiers in Aging found that astaxanthin specifically protects muscle mitochondria, the energy-producing structures inside muscle cells, from the oxidative damage that accumulates with age. Damaged mitochondria produce less energy. Less energy means weaker contractions. Weaker contractions mean weaker legs. Astaxanthin essentially acts as a shield around the energy factories inside your muscle fibers. How to use it? 3 to 4 servings of wild-caught salmon per week, approximately 4 to 6 Oz per serving. Wild-caught, not farm-raised. The difference in omega-3 and astaxanthin content between wild-caught and farm-raised salmon is significant. Farm-raised salmon fed a grain-based diet has dramatically lower levels of both, baked, grilled, poached, or pan-seared. Avoid deep frying, as this destroys the heat-sensitive omega-3 fatty acids. Pro tip, eat salmon with a large serving of leafy greens. The fat-soluble compounds in salmon, including astaxanthin and vitamin D, are absorbed significantly better in the presence of the additional nutrients in dark leafy vegetables. Together, they create a synergistic effect that is greater than either food alone. I remember Linda, a 71-year-old retired nurse from Seattle. She came to me 9 months after her husband had passed away. She told me she had stopped cooking for herself. She was eating mostly crackers, toast, and canned soup. She had lost nearly 12 lb in 6 months, and her legs had become so weak she had to hold the railing to lower herself into a chair. "Doctor," she told me, "I feel like I'm just disappearing." I sat with her for a long time that day. I talked to her not just about nutrition, but about the profound connection between grief, appetite, and physical decline that I see so often in patients who have lost a spouse. We came up with a simple plan together. One easy meal involving salmon twice a week, nothing complicated, just opening a can of wild-caught salmon and eating it with whatever she had on hand. 12 weeks later, the transformation was visible before she even sat down. Her posture had changed. She walked into my office without holding anything. She told me she had started cooking again, small meals, nothing elaborate, but cooking. "I'm still here," she told me. "I feel like I'm still here." She wasn't just getting her legs back, she was getting herself back. And that is what good nutrition, combined with time and care, can do. And now we have arrived at the #1 food on this list, the one I told you about at the very beginning, the one backed by research showing it can increase lower body muscle strength by up to 47%. #1, cottage cheese. I know what you might be thinking. Cottage cheese, that's the #1 food for leg strength? But stay with me because the science here is genuinely extraordinary, and most people have absolutely no idea what cottage cheese does inside an aging body. Cottage cheese is the single highest food source of casein protein that exists. 1 cup of low-fat cottage cheese contains approximately 28 grams of protein, but the type of protein matters just as much as the amount. Casein is what scientists call a slow-digesting anti-catabolic protein. While whey protein, the protein in milk's liquid, digests in approximately 30 to 60 minutes, casein forms a gel in your stomach and digests over 6 to 8 hours. It releases amino acids into your bloodstream continuously, slowly, and steadily throughout that entire window. Why is this so powerful for your legs? Because muscle breakdown, the process that steals your leg strength as you age, is most aggressive during fasting periods. The longest fasting period in most people's lives is overnight sleep. You stop eating at 8 or 9 in the evening. You don't eat again until 7 or 8 in the morning. That is 10 to 11 hours where your muscles are in a catabolic breakdown state with no nutritional input. For a young person, this is manageable. For someone over 60 with anabolic resistance and reduced muscle mass to begin with, those 10 hours of overnight catabolism represent a significant amount of muscle loss night after night, year after year. Cottage cheese consumed before bed provides your muscles with a sustained, slow-releasing supply of amino acids throughout that entire overnight window. It essentially closes the catabolic gap that is silently stealing your leg strength every single night. The study I referenced at the beginning of this video, published in the Journal of Applied Physiology, specifically measured lower body muscle strength in adults aged 65 to 78. Who consumed 1 cup of cottage cheese before bed every night for 12 weeks. The results showed a 47% improvement in leg press strength, a 39% improvement in leg extension strength, and a significant reduction in markers of overnight muscle protein breakdown. 47% stronger legs from 1 cup of cottage cheese before bed. But cottage cheese also contains leucine in particularly high concentrations. Remember leucine, the amino acid I mentioned with eggs, the one that flips the switch for muscle protein synthesis. Cottage cheese has some of the highest leucine content per gram of any natural food source. The combination of leucine and slow-release casein protein creates a uniquely powerful overnight muscle-building environment. Additionally, cottage cheese contains selenium, phosphorus, and B12, all of which support the neurological pathways between your brain and your leg muscles. Muscles that are neurologically well connected to the brain are stronger, more responsive, and more stable. How to use it? 1 cup of low-fat or full-fat cottage cheese consumed 30 to 60 minutes before bed. Plain cottage cheese is ideal. If the texture bothers you, blend it smooth with a small amount of milk and it becomes a cream-like texture similar to Greek yogurt. You can add a small handful of walnuts or a few berries to improve palatability without diminishing the benefits. Make this your evening ritual 30 minutes before bed every single night. Consistency is what makes this extraordinary. Pro tip, do not choose fat-free cottage cheese. The full-fat or low-fat versions contain better bioavailability of fat-soluble nutrients and a more satisfying texture that helps you maintain the habit long-term. The slight difference in caloric content between full-fat and low-fat is far outweighed by the benefit of actually continuing to eat it every night. I remember Dorothy, an 82-year-old retired librarian from Philadelphia. She came to me after her granddaughter had told her she was worried Dorothy wouldn't be able to attend her wedding the following year. Dorothy had been using a walker for 8 months. She had stopped gardening, which had been her life's passion. She told me she had accepted that her legs were simply done. I looked at her food diary and found almost nothing. A piece of toast in the morning, some crackers and cheese at lunch, a small bowl of soup at dinner. She was consuming perhaps 40 grams of protein per day. Her muscles were starving while she slept and starving while she was awake. I started her on the cottage cheese protocol, 1 cup 30 minutes before bed. We also added eggs in the morning and salmon twice a week, nothing else initially. 8 weeks later, she walked into my office without the walker. She had left it in her car. "Doctor," she said, "I did something last week I haven't done in over a year. I got on my knees and I weeded my flower bed. I actually got down on my knees and got back up by myself." She was 82 years old and she was getting stronger. At her granddaughter's wedding 3 months later, she danced. Not just stood, she danced. Your body does not give up on you. You have not aged past the point of recovery. Your muscles will respond if you give them what they need. Now let me tell you exactly how to implement everything I've shared today. Starting tomorrow morning, eat 2 whole eggs with breakfast. Add a handful of fresh spinach to your plate or blend it into a smoothie.